It's intermission time. It's great to get out to the movies.
I'm Megan. Did I ever tell you my name when you walked in?
You did, yes.
Okay, good. I'm Megan. I'm the host of the Intermission podcast. Today we have a duo on here. Can you two introduce yourselves and tell the listener who you are, what you do?
I am David Joseph Craig, and I am a writer-director.
I'm Brian Crano. I'm also a writer-director. I'm also his husband.
Oh, yeah, we're married.
And, we made a movie called I Don't Understand You, coming out June 6th.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Wait, something I just thought of. Did you guys ever think about doing the share last name?
Oh, yeah, for sure. So
is that not cool to do as a creative because you want to stick to like what everyone knows you as?
Well, so we were going to do it just personally, but keep our professional names.
Yeah.
But my idea was not to we thought like hyphenating was lame for some reason. And so we were like, I was like really hard selling, like, let's just mush our names together and just like do like.
No, wait till you hear what he came up with.
So I was thinking like Craig, because like the first three letters of our name are the same, or then just like Crano, which is sort of like the most Italian-y fake sounding name. But
could you imagine? Nobody can see me, but can you imagine if my last name was Crano?
People can see you.
funny.
You're not a ghost.
Yeah.
You are here.
Well, I mean,
you were corporeal.
Yeah. Okay. It's an audio medium.
Okay, this is a question we ask everyone who comes on the show. If you were to pick a film that describes your life right now.
Oh my God. It would be like a genre. It would be like definitely a genre mash. Like it would be like a crazy kids movie.
Yeah, I was almost thinking terror. Like Mr. Mom.
Okay. Oh, it's Michael Keaton?
Michael Keaton.
Yeah.
I don't remember the movie, but I do remember how chaotic his life was due to children. Mm-hmm. And so that's sort of...
That feels real.
Yeah, that's on brand.
That feels real right now. I should watch it again if I'm going to reference it in that way. I'd also say Midsommar.
Okay. I love that.
Great.
Okay, so this is the second of two projects you've worked on together, right? The first being Permission.
Well, I Permission was Brian's movie that I that I acted in.
Yeah.
This is the first film that we have written and directed together in the same capacity.
Yeah, it was cool.
I have a lot of questions on that process, but I'll get to it like when we dive into the actual movie because I'm just like fascinated about being a creative and having to collaborate with someone.
Yeah.
And
it's really fun.
Personal and professional.
Yeah.
Okay, so first off, how did you two, I want to get origin story. How did you two come into working together? And did the relationship happen separate of that?
Yeah, so we met, we got set up on a blind date 15 years ago by an agent, funnily enough, and have been, together variously through that time. And then...
Variously?
Well, yeah, like we were dating and then we were like engaged and married.
It was on and off.
Yeah. But no, so it progressed to a terminus. But then and then we he had worked for and with Joel Edgerton producing his movies, and I had been doing independent writing and directing by myself. And then when the pandemic hit, we thought, well, we're stuck in this fucking house. Why don't we, write something and just see? And it was a really cool process because like there was no possibility the movie was getting made anytime soon. So it was very freeing.
Like low stakes.
Yeah. It was just like, let's write some scenes when we think they're funny. And, and that kind of took on its own steam.
And at the time, did you already have your son? Did you say something?
Yeah.
He was born. He was
only
born,
3 months.
He was 3 months old.
Oh,
so it was just like this potato that we're holding, like in typing. So it was pretty cool to just be really creatively loose and like just do something that made each other laugh and try and write scenes in that way. So it was cool.
What is it about the other person that you knew would make a good filmmaking partner?
In a good way, Brian is very bullheaded.
There's always one.
Which,
or is there two?
There's both.
My relationship, there's two.
Yeah. And I think specifically for this film, and just in general, as a director, you have to be good at making decisions and sticking to the decisions, and be utterly collaborative, but also be willing to be decisive. Mm-hmm. And I think that is something that it gives me so much comfort to know how decisive Brian is.
Yeah, I wasn't sure. No, okay. I mean, I think like the interesting thing about being in a relationship so long before being in a creative relationship is like there's so much built-in trust that you're like, we've renovated a house, we've moved across country, we've buried your dad, you know what I mean? Like there's all of this shit that's happened, and you have such a similar vocabulary of reference and emotional reference. It's very easy to kind of depend on the other person to, you know, kind of like, you just know they're going to show up and how it's going to be. So for me, it was like, that was very cool. And it was also very cool to see David kind of transition into the position, because most of the time with your life partner, you see them, you see their successes at the end. You know, like when he made a movie with Joel, I would see the movie, but I didn't get to see him do it. Yeah. And like to see him succeed at arm's length the whole time was like super exciting and really cool. Yeah.
I'm also realizing it's funny having you two and you two being a couple, where this is kind of just turning into like, what do you like about each other?
Yeah. I think he's charming.
It's saving our marriage, actually.
Yeah. Let's go back to the ref.
What is the first film that made you think, I want to make movies?
Todd Haynes' Velvet Goldmine for me.
Cool.
Yeah, I watched that movie so fucking much. I watched it probably to go to bed every night for probably like 2.5 years in college. It's just so beautifully made and so like so audacious and glammy. And I had, you know, I was in theater school, so I'd always been thinking about making plays. And then that movie really got me thinking about like, oh, you can be theatrical in this other medium. It's not all just sort of like angry hetero men kind of yelling at each other. So yeah.
I would say Titanic. I think because of the experience that I was in, like it was the first movie I actually remember going to see in the theater. It definitely wasn't, but I was on a date with a girl, and so I clearly wasn't interested in my date. And so it actually allowed me to focus.
You were like so focused on the movie.
On a 3-hour movie, so that I didn't have to like hold her hand during the middle of the movie. And I think just the enormity of it and the spectacle of it. I didn't get to watch many films when I was growing up, because I was pretty sheltered in terms of what I was allowed to watch. And so I was limited. So when I did get to see Titanic in an actual theater and without my parents like watching me watch it and feeling the judgment of it, it just made me really understand like, oh, you can create giant, like you can create these giant things, and there's probably 4,000 people working on this set all for one thing. And like, I just want to know how, you know, the cookie gets baked. It's just, yeah, I think that probably is one of them.
Were you one of those kids who like wasn't allowed to watch like any like witchcraft and that whole thing?
Not even just witchcraft. I wasn't allowed to watch The Simpsons. Really? Yeah, it was like either wholesome television or like I could watch things if my parents were watching them that were, you know, but like it was definitely like, oh, there's any sort of abnormality or jokes in this, not for you. Do
you remember like, or both of you, your first kind of like PG-13 or like risque movie you saw?
I would have to say the thing that you might not even know what this reference is. Okay. But there was a 90s television show called Silk Stockings.
I don't know it.
It's so good.
I don't know. I'm so sorry, but I know our listeners will.
And
Chris Estes, he's so hot.
And I just my mother loved it. It was is USA still?
Yeah. It was on USA Network. It was like one of the first shows that they produced, and it is like a kind of cop noir-y, you know, gauze on the lens, like lots of like ambient smoke.
The entire opening is just women raising hose on their legs. Like that is literally the opening. And I remember that being the first risque thing. And then my father was obsessed with like B-list horror films. Cool. And so I would pretend to be sleeping on the sofa and watch like Killer Clowns and stuff like that, and like see really messed up shit. So it was like one side or the other, but never like oh, you get to see like a fun, Freddy movie or Michael Myers. Yeah.
Yeah, and my parents had just no boundaries for me. So like we always lived like near like an art house video store. So they would go in and they would be like, just let him rent whatever he wants and just like pay for it. So I was like into all kinds of crazy Euro shit. And then I think the first movie that I remember like really freaking me out was probably Silence of the Lambs, and I probably watched that when I was like 8 or 9.
Wild.
Yeah, with them, but still, like it is the perfect film as far as I'm concerned, and it was fucking terrifying as a child.
Yeah.
I also agree in its perfection.
Yeah, it is a perfect
It's
film.
the best movie.
If you were a film genre, what would you be?
As a human?
Yeah, like personality-wise.
You should probably do this about each other.
Yeah.
That'd be better. It's a better answer.
Yeah. Can we do it about each other?
You can do whatever you
Go
want.
for it.
Like a
I see a roast coming.
Yeah. It's gonna get fucking
Like
gnarly in
a-
a second.
a little curmudgeon.
It's basically up, right? Is what you're trying to say?
A curmudgeon talkie. If it wasn't so radically on PC to say, I would say like a Woody Allen movie.
Yeah.
I think that's still valid. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think like an Ari Aster
Mm.
character in distress movie.
Oh, cool. Okay.
I can feel
Your beau is afraid.
Yeah.
Ish.
Sure.
But with jokes.
With humor.
With hard jokes. Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
That gave me actually a really great sense of the two of you.
Woody Allen and Ari Aster. That should be a reality show. In
I feel it more. I
put 'em in a house
identify
together.
with deconstructing Harry quite a lot.
Yeah.
Again, Judy Davis on the roof with a gun. That's where I want to be. That's kind of me.
Do you have films that you irrationally defend? Like it's kind of notoriously bad or kitschy, but you're like, this is a good movie. I don't care what anyone says.
Sure. Yeah.
What comes to mind?
Hudson Hawk. I think 1992's Hudson Hawk, a fantastic movie with Bruce Willis and Richard E. Grant. Is a big silly action, silly Da Vinci. They're doing something with Da Vinci. I don't remember exactly what. What else?
I will defend Space Camp
Yeah, I love space.
until the day I die. Do you know what Space Camp
No,
is?
but I'm looking this up.
I want to say it's like
It's like 87.
89, 90. The premise of this movie
Cool
is...
cover.
The premise of this movie is a bunch of children are going to space camp, and they have
At Cape Canaveral.
and the head of the space camp class is Kate Capshaw.
Uh-huh.
And on the day that they go to tour the shuttle that's about to take off, what happens? The shuttle takes off with the kids, and they have to find their
Incredible.
way back down to Earth. And it is a ridiculous premise and a ridiculous movie, and I will defend it till the day I die and recommend it till the day I die.
I just saw that Joaquin Phoenix is in it.
Yeah, it's his first film.
movie.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
What else would we defend?
Nuns on the Run.
Nuns on the Run.
Fantastic movie.
Do people hate Sister Act?
I love it.
Okay.
No.
I just listened to a
Beloved.
podcast all about Whoopi, and I didn't know that her name was based off of I think Whoopi, like a Whoopi cushion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. It's great. She's great.
Sister Act 1 or 2.
Oh, I'm always like an original person.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like it.
I
Better songs.
I do think better songs. I think 2 is definitely a better plot.
Wait, speaking of Whoopi, I could be wrong, but there's a movie like that I would defend. It's so dumb that I would defend it.
Great.
And I think she's in it, and I could be wrong. Do you guys remember the movie Rat Race?
Oh,
Yep,
she's in Rat Race. Yeah.
Yeah,
She's
yeah,
definitely
that
in it.
just
That's
came
a
to
good
my head.
defensible. That's a
Yeah.
good defensible.
Like it kind of tied it in the topics.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Seth Green, some
Yeah.
Rowan Atkinson.
Oh, he's in it. You're right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just felt like a
Brecken
good
Meyer,
time.
I want to say.
Brecken Meyer, hard
Yeah.
cut.
Thank you.
Sorry, we shouldn't say that's a hard cut. Hi, Brecken.
Yeah, what's up?
Oh.
Yeah, that's my movie. Okay,
Did you have a sleep movie ever?
like go to sleep
Like
to it.
that you would watch all the time? Just
Yeah, no, I'm trying to think of that.
Mine was Never Been Kissed.
Oh,
I would watch
And now,
Drew Barrymore.
Drew Barrymore. Yeah.
and now every night it's white women getting murdered.
Yeah, I do
on
watch a
some
lot.
kind of Dateline.
I do watch a
It's
lot of
fucking
Dateline.
horrible.
I consume a lot. I listen to like Dateline podcasts.
Oh, yeah.
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 Wait, I want to think of my answer now. I think I had my dad on the podcast, and he was talking about how like Seinfeld is like his, but that's a TV show, and it's also not.
Or it could be a TV show if you fall asleep to
No, but I want
Gilmore
it
Girls.
to be a movie, because I do consume movies. Like, this is like, I say this on the show and it's bad to admit, but I'm like, I have a movie playing at all times on my phone, like cooking, walking around at all times. And often it's, if I'm really not paying attention, it's a documentary, because then it feels like a podcast.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to come back to this, because I'm sure it'll pop in my head later.
Sure.
But I just like, I love just voices constantly.
Yeah, totally.
Any voice but my own, you know?
Yeah.
What movie comes to mind when I say the second watch was better than the first watch?
I mean, of recent, I would probably say I went to go see Killers of the Flower Moon twice, and the first time I really didn't get it. I felt a little I didn't feel what everybody else was feeling.
Yeah.
And I ended up going and seeing it again on my own and felt so differently about it and actually really liked it. So of recently, the second watch of that was really great for me.
I'm curious what the last movie you saw in theaters was, and the last movie you saw streaming.
The last movie I saw in theaters was, I'm so sad. Clown in a Cornfield.
Oh, I have not seen Clown in a Cornfield.
It just came out. I have a pass, so I go to see pretty much everything that's at the Alamo.
Oh, I know what this is. Yeah.
So
Alamo's your theater?
Alamo's my theater.
Okay.
Yeah. Love those recliners.
Yeah.
And then the last movie I saw streaming that wasn't a woman getting murdered. I just watched that Summer of '69 movie.
It's good, right?
Yeah, that Chloe Fineman is in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
The last one I saw with him that was great was Transformers 1.
Okay.
Which was actually like had no right to be as cool and fun and good
Wait,
as it was.
Transformers 1? That's like not recent.
Well, but I'm saying like the last kids movie
like,
that was good.
Got it. Okay.
That was like he was like riveted.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, this is like surprisingly well made.
Oh, yeah. It was Paddington in Peru.
Oh, and you said that's forgettable?
I clearly I just forgot it.
Valid.
No, it was fine. It was great.
Okay.
It wasn't as great as the
original
Paddington.
We had so you know how we have a guest pick a film, and if they're not promoting something, or even if they are, it might not be what they're promoting. So one of our prior guests did the music for the movie Anora.
Oh,
but
awesome.
He picked Paddington to talk about, and he is a huge Paddington fan. And I was
That's
like, what
awesome.
a fun episode, just the contrast of Anora
Of
to
course.
Paddington.
Yeah.
Well, and Paddington, like the original, made me bawl.
I think actually we discussed specifically Paddington too. And I'm not a big children's movie person, so I watched both to prep for the episode, and I was pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, it's good.
Because Peru is 3, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
The second, are they titled? Are they just titled like Paddington 1
and 2, yeah.
Well, the third
There's
one
a
is
second.
Paddington in Peru.
Oh, okay.
So, but I believe the first 2 are 1 and 2.
Yeah, and like Hugh Grant is in the second one.
Yeah.
Okay, well now let's get into your film, I Don't Understand You. I have a little synopsis brief. An American couple planning to adopt face relationship challenges during a chaotic Italian vacation. Stranded without transport or language skills, their fears and issues intensify. And the cast stars Nick Kroll, Andrew Rannells, and Amanda Seyfried. You know what I just realized was that a good...
You got her name right.
Yeah.
I know her. Well, not I know her, but I didn't realize this until doing research. I'm not a big mouth person, but I knew Nick Kroll was in it, but I didn't realize Andrew and Nick Kroll are both in Big Mouth. That's cool.
They are.
Yeah. So it was great actually because when we were casting the movie, like we had cast Andrew first, and we had just heard a podcast weirdly with Nick who had just had his first kid.
Yeah.
And he was sort of like, you know, the movie's about the fear of being a parent as a sort of metaphor through a horror genre. And like, he was so kind of broken open by this experience of having this kid, as we were also that we pitched it to Andrew, and Andrew just called him without even
cool.
talking to us and was like, read this and see, let's go do it. and he, like 48 hours later, we had both of them,
Oh, wow.
attached to do the movie. So it
Very
was a super cool process, and they love each other, which is so nice. Like,
yeah, they were very convincing as a couple.
Yeah.
I thought they had such good chemistry.
yeah,
Yeah, they love each other, and what we kind of lucked into too that we didn't necessarily put two and two together when we cast them is they both come from separate comedy duos as well, with because Andrew's with Josh Gad and Nick is with John Mulaney,
Yeah.
and so they know how to work off of a duo in a really, really great way. So it was twofold.
It was a dream.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
a dream.
How cool. Yeah, Andrew I recognize from Girls. That
Yeah.
was my introduction to him. And then Nick Kroll, actually, it's so random I watched the show because it's not at all my interest, but I watched The League.
yeah.
I don't even know. I'll watch anything.
Yeah.
I'm sorry for those listening, but I'll watch anything. And I don't even care about football. But anyways, no, it was a cool cast. And then how did Amanda get into the mix?
She's like one of our really close friends and,
Cool.
and has been for a long time, and she is sort of like the godmother of our son, and
Oh,
so
that's sweet.
so it's sort of she ends up playing the characters, the birth mother the characters are adopting from, so it sort of felt like a very organic
Oh, that's sweet.
thing to do.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was great.
Okay, so for inspiration behind the film, how did I guess those listening probably have somewhat of an idea of where this inspiration came from,
Yeah.
but how did your personal experiences influence the story?
So, like the two characters, they had been on an adoption journey for quite some time and had some hiccups with a birth mother scamming them, and had been down the journey for close to 2 years, just kind of like our own situation. And on our actual 10th anniversary, we went to Italy, and right before we went, we found out we were matched with the birth mother who ended up having our child, and but was due in 6 weeks. And so we went on the trip sort of as a baby moon, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
And on the night of our actual 10th anniversary, we were on the side of we were driving in a rural Italian town, and Brian directed me off the side of a road into a ditch for 5 hours, which isn't as
Romantic.
long as the movie, but
It was not.
and we got rescued. We got rescued and brought to this little old lady's house who had a whole family. And in our actual story, it was a wonderful experience, but we also realized how we as, pretty idiot Americans always feel like we need to be catered to even when we're traveling, and thought we were going to die the entire time. And so we took that horror and put it into what we thought was a funny rom-com of a movie.
Yeah, we're always kind of interested in like blending genre stuff because it feels like, audiences are so educated that if you just deliver them like, here's just a good comedy, it's like, it just, even if it's great, it feels flat. And so it's like nice to be able to take, like, to put the kind of viewer on the experience of the characters, and like let the characters journey from like, in this moment we're in a rom-com, and in this moment we're in a horror film or whatever, and let that lead kind of how the movie changes.
Yeah, definitely. It also felt like kind of the common through line in it is miscommunications.
Yeah.
Like everything comes through miscommunication, which is like a funny and relatable premise. Because
Yeah.
that's how most issues are, miscommunications.
Yeah, and I think what the real miscommunication in the movie is how
Yeah.
they're handling each other. There are plenty of technical and actual miscommunications in the film, but like at the root of it, it is their miscommunication with each other as well that is like helping this story spiral down
Totally.
a very, very, very long staircase.
When you filmed in Italy, did you go back to where you were traveling?
No, we didn't actually, which we talked about it,
Yeah.
and we thought about it. We thought about like showing up with the film crew and like being like, hey, make us dinner or whatever. But
Like old times.
it felt like kind of weird, and also like, you're sort of like
We
using...
could have done Krisha with it.
Yeah,
Like,
right.
Yeah.
Just had her play herself.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I think that there's some like level of, by the time you've done 20 drafts of the script or whatever, like it does feel like an extant thing. And so by the time we were there, we were just like very much in service of the script and not, it isn't like a documentary. I don't want anybody to get that idea. It's like just the sort of root of the idea came from this very real couple of days.
Mm-hmm.
And then, letting that sort of go through the prism of our kind of weird, joke brains to figure out how to make this a fun 2 hours or whatever. But yeah, it was cool to be there. Like we were there for almost 6 months. So it was like very cool to like dive in and like really immerse ourselves both in the sort of culture of the place and also just like in the film culture with the crew and everything, because there were 7 of us and there are like 150 Italians working on the movie.
Oh, wow.
So, it was like very clear when we got there, like, oh, we're making an Italian movie in English.
Yeah.
And like, we have to learn, how they want to do it, how it works here. We'll do that. We need to make a team and a family. And that's very both culturally and film culturally there, how it works. And that ended up being like the best decision we made across the whole thing, because they were so on board to help us, and they thought the movie was so funny and like how dumb the Americans are.
Yeah, they're like, this is great.
This is so stupid. It's so funny, And it was like all of that all the whole time. And
that's how all of them talk.
Yeah, they didn't mind our silly, when we would do our silly Italian voices, they didn't care.
When Brian would get heated on set, he would actually start getting into like.
That's not true. This is a lie. And I don't get heated on set. I'm ice cold.
Yes.
A total professional. No, but yeah, I mean, it was just like a wonderful experience in terms of all of the 7 Americans who came over to do the movie, but like kept looking at each other and being like, this is a scam. Like, how is this our job? Like, this is crazy. We will never make another movie like this. It's so fun.
That's sick.
It was really like a special experience.
Yeah. Oh, I'm jealous. I want to be in Italy for 6 months.
Highly encouraged.
Our child was in. They told us it was because it was near the U.S. Embassy that most of the kids that went to the school were English speaking, and we showed up there and none of them were, nor were any of the teachers. And he's very expressive and very very energetic to participate.
Yeah.
And so he had to learn very quickly how to tell people what he needed and wanted. And within, I think, 2 months, he had learned a lot of common Italian phrases and words to the point where like we would be on a playground. He wouldn't really do it around us because I think it's not natural to do it around us. But like we would be in a playground, and if a kid didn't share with him or whatever, he would like literally just start wailing in Italian and just like I would just sit there looking at him going like, what on earth is in this it was
wow, what a cool experience.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, this is what I mentioned earlier, but how do you navigate creative differences as co-directors and spouses? Because we've had on the podcast now, I think, 2 other directing duos, but not partners, life partners, so.
Well, I mean, I think in a weird...
Take it out in the bedroom.
I think in a weird way, we talked about it a lot. Our producer, Cara Durrett, who's an incredible producer, had weirdly just happens to have worked with a bunch of directing teams. So she had some really good ideas about, like, just get your shit together sort of away from set and just act like one thing, which is what our kind of instinct was as well. But we're very much of the mindset of like collect on set, and then you figure out the movie in the edit room. And so it was like, if he had an idea that was different from what I wanted to shoot, we're like, shoot both, we'll figure it out later. And it really doesn't, like wasting any time on set, sort of going like the blue one, the green one, the blue one, the green. It's like so pointless.
It doesn't need to affect anyone else.
Yeah, just like shoot it, or like even within the scenes with the guy, just making sure you get some options. And then editorially, when you have all the time and there's not this sort of like, we got to get to lunch or whatever the set pressure is, and you can really like test it and see. But all of the, I come from a very practical school of filmmaking, which is like, this isn't, your ideas don't matter. Like, what's on the monitor? Like, is it on the can you see it? Then we have it. So it's like, let's just get it and then we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
I also learned from like working with Joel for nearly a decade. his whole way of working was best idea wins.
Yeah.
Like nobody's working on this set because they're forced to. They actually want the movie to be good. And I think through osmosis, Brian got a lot of that as well, which was just like, none of this has to be, we're all here for a reason. Like we're making funny ha-has. There's no reason to get upset about anything. So you can have a discussion, but like at the end of the day, best idea wins. And I think we just both attacked it that way.
Yeah.
Plus we were being fed tons and tons of pizza.
Carbo
and
loads.
carbs. So it kept us very, at bay.
Yeah. The other thing that was good too is like we brought with us one of our associate producers who was like there to really help us, was a friend of ours who's an incredible filmmaker named Eugene Kroll. And so like he knew us both well enough to be like, oh, if there was some like tension building or something needed to get, like he was there to kind of like just fix it and like be like, well,
that's helpful.
Brian needs snacks. Like clearly he's about to go
Yeah, that's
off.
like when you're on vacation with a couple.
Yeah. And you're just like,
there has to be someone else.
There's definitely like there was like definitely a little bit of middle child energy of like, like let's not fight, nobody fight. So that's super helpful to have somebody who's like taking care of you and helping you make it great.
I mean, everybody was on vacation with the couple.
But also it was helpful as like, our DP and our producer are married. And, so there was like extra levels of, and everybody, most of us had young kids at the time. So it was like, there were all of these kind of layers to it. Like our families were around, the kids would come to set, our dogs would come to set. Like, it was just like very like low key in terms of, it felt like very family oriented, which does make it easier if you're like holding your dog in your lap and something's going wrong. It's like, okay, I have my emotional support animal anyway. Like it does make it a lot easier to like cope.
Yeah.
I think also, can I just mention another thing too, is like our film is also very linear. And I think because of that, there was like, once we do a certain thing in the film, we can't go back. And so like, a lot of films are getting things in case, like in the hopes or the potential that they have to rearrange scenes or move something from this place to this place. And we were like, oh, we wrote a script that is pretty linear. Like the top of the movie can be changed a bit, but once we like do some nasty things, you can't really go back from that and you can't really rearrange that. And so I think there was a bit of, calmness that came around that by just being like, okay, we just need to shoot what we need, and then everything else is butter. That was great.
Yeah. Did you film in order?
No.
No. But just even like removing that, even from the editorial process, like every other movie I've done, like you spend a month invariably just going like, well, what if that was here, and what if the beginning was the end, and like it always sucks, and you always go back to the original thing. But to take that out of our process and like very consciously do that, to be able to just have more time to make the scenes really good is super helpful.
We did shot list all of the stunt scenes just so we knew how we wanted those, but we didn't shoot anything in order.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, I'll wrap the section on your film with who do you think this movie is for? And if you were to kind of like say some other films that maybe have like a similar vibe, what comes to mind so the listener knows what they're getting into?
Who is this for? I think it's for comedy fans. I think it's for film fans who like a fun genre movie. I think it's for audience to participate in together. Seeing it in a crowd. A couple times that we've been to festivals or screenings, it's been the highlight of my life to just witness people laugh together from something that I helped create. I don't know if I would necessarily point any fingers at things that it is similar to, but references that really enhanced our film were films like Death Becomes Her.
I Heart Huckabees has like a very similar silliness to it. Yeah, all of Jeff's stuff has a kind of kind of relationship, I think.
If there's something that people have been comparing us to, it's Dale and Tucker versus Evil. But I don't. I
haven't seen it, so I don't know.
I think it's just in terms of its
plotting.
Yeah, I think anybody who likes a two-hander that goes completely and utterly apeshit would like this.
We're inspired a lot by like movies in the 90s that have like a very grounded kind of first act premise that goes crazy. So that's sort of
because in the 90s you were given budgets that were allowing you to do literally anything you wanted with the movie.
Yeah, so like that has a sort of like, if you like those movies, but you know, like I'm a cop having a bad day and then like the whole town gets blown up or whatever. So that kind of like fun 90s movie is the vibe for sure.
I love it.
Yeah.
Also, anybody who wants to watch an original film.
Yeah, hell yeah.
There you go.
Definitely. I'm going to go to one last game, but just here we probably should plug in where and when they can watch this film.
Sure.
Cool.
So,
I Don't Understand You is in theaters June 6th across the country.
Yeah.
now we're going to play a game called the Newlywed Game.
Ooh.
Filmmaker edition. I'm going to ask a series of questions, and I want to see if you both can guess each other's answer.
Okay.
So, first, what's their comfort movie after a bad day on set?
Yours is Rudy.
That is correct. Do you know Rudy?
No.
It's
a football movie. It doesn't make any sense.
Okay.
For him. I mean, I'm sure it's a great movie, but I'm like, why?
Have you still never watched it?
No.
Oh.
But I'm like, why are you watching like a Sean Astin football I'm a hero movie? Like, it's so strange. Anyway.
Memories.
Yeah.
Dreamers?
No.
Do you have a specific one in mind?
Yeah, I mean, it'd probably be Silence of the Lambs. I'd probably just watch that.
That's kind of my vibe. I watch things like very intense that don't really make sense for this scenario. Yeah. Okay. Which director intimidates them, but they still love?
Like personally?
I guess. Whatever comes to mind. Maybe like if you were to meet them, you'd be like very intimidated.
Tarantino?
No. It'd be Todd.
Oh, Todd Haynes.
Todd Haynes, cool.
I mean, I met him.
How'd it go?
It went not as I thought it was going to go. So I met him when I was 21 or 2, and I had this because it was in this period of like watching his movie every night. Mm-hmm. So I had this kind of like parasocial relationship to him.
You just gave him a hug.
No, I saw him. Okay, this is so embarrassing, but I'll tell you.
It's not safe for the podcast.
No, it is. It's fine.
You could say anything.
I was in.
No one's listening.
No one's listening. I was at an Indian restaurant on the West Side, and I was there with a friend, and Todd was having lunch with Christine Vachon, and I was like, "It's Christine Vachon and Todd." And my friend was like, "You got to fucking go say whatever. Like, you love him so much." So in my head, I'm like, "I'm gonna go over there. I'm gonna say, hey, I'm Brian. I love your movies." And then he's gonna say, "Cool, come move in like into my pool house, like, and just like we'll hang out, and you can be like a cool, interesting, whatever." And that did not happen. So I went over there and I was like, said my thing. And then I waited for the invitation. And then Christine like stared at me like she was going to fucking hit me with her
she was like waiting for you to walk
away. Yeah. And then I eventually got the message. So one day I will tell them that to his face and he'll laugh at me again, probably. It'll be a good time.
Aww.
So that's my one.
At least you said something.
Yeah.
Don't meet your heroes. I'm just kidding.
Who would be yours? I guess probably Spielberg. No?
Close.
Zemeckis?
Yeah. Robert Zemeckis.
Robert
Cool.
Zemeckis. Yeah.
Cool. I love it. You basically got it.
Yeah.
If they could remake one film, what would it be?
David's a Space Camp. He pitches this movie at every fucking general meeting we go to. And they're like, cool, do you control the rights? And we're like, of course not. It's a Disney movie.
Yeah, but listen, okay. But take it to the modern era, right? Like, we have technology now.
You don't have to do it now. You don't have to pitch it now. Nobody here controls it.
I'm just saying. It would make an amazing
so
movie.
Crazy.
What would you remake? Oh, see, he doesn't even have one in mind.
You could say anything.
I kind of have one in mind. There's this very tiny movie, also probably from the 90s, with Joseph Mazzello and Brad Renfro called The Cure. Mm-hmm. And it's about these two kids, one of whom gets sick, and they run away to like try and find a cure. And it's so sweet and sad and funny. And I'm like, I would love to remake that movie.
Cute. Deep cut. I hope someone listening
You should.
gives us
It's
gives
really
us the cure.
good. Annabella Sciorra plays the mom. It's very good.
It's Brad Renfro and who?
Joesph Mazzello.
Oh,
What's one thing the other can't stand in a script?
David hates any logic holes at all. Like,
What does that mean?
like any movie, like a sort of
illogicals.
a logic jump that the movie makes just to like get through something. Like,
oh.
so anything that we get sent, any scripts that we get sent to read, he's like, this one doesn't make any sense. And you're like, why? And he's like, she has the blue marker and then it's the purple marker. You know, it's like, he has a very kind of, he needs everything to be very clean.
Mm-hmm.
I think as a cinephile, I see through the movie logic to like actually go like, but that couldn't happen.
Yeah.
And then it just sticks with me. And if it like, even if it's something sci-fi that like, it still has to make sense within the world that it's been built it just can't be, sent. What does Brian hate in movies? In scripts?
In scripts specifically.
In scripts.
This is so easy.
Oh, a lack of character development?
Sure, it was sort of. Characters that betray their intelligence.
Yes.
Huh.
So like if a character is like for a joke or for a setup or whatever, if the character does something that a person of their intelligence would not do
Oh,
to like
interesting.
nail a joke or to nail a, you know, like, oh, just like, even like
if it's for a joke, if it's intentional, you don't mind it. But
that's
if it's for a joke,
Oh, this is so interesting. I've never.
but
even
like
thought
even
of
the
that.
sort of, like, I guess the most basic example is like the white girl going into the woods with the flashlight, right? In any like horror genre, and you're like, oh, I could take the gun, or like so much that it's become like a parody.
Yeah.
see, that's my logic.
Yeah.
You don't run up the stairs. Why would you run upstairs to get away from the killer?
Yeah, valid.
Why would
Valid.
you run up the stairs?
Yeah, there's no exit unless you're jumping.
Unless you're about to jump and you know that there's a tree right there.
Yeah.
Yes, if the killer's down there, you run somewhere else, but you don't run up the stairs.
Yeah.
They have more access to you.
I guess my other one would be gay best friends.
You don't like that?
Or sort of like, you know, those kind of like totemic, you know, supportive characters that are supposed to be like knowledgeable because they're like an old black lady or like a gay best friend.
Yeah, the token.
Sort of, the tokenism of that I find like very dull.
Yeah. Valid.
Also, just to get technical, something I don't like seeing in script descriptions is "we see."
Oh yeah, he hates that.
Wait, say that.
We see.
I never read scripts, so I just.
So like a lot of people who write scripts, they'll write as if they're part of the reader. Like they'll say we see a man walking we see a man walking across the.
Is that corny?
Well, no. For me, I'm like, you're saying that because you don't actually want to describe how you see it. Because if you actually described it, you'd say the man stood in front of the barrel. He turned his head and saw this, instead of just saying, because we see takes up a bunch of character description that you could put in there to
We sound like very biggish.
No, I think this is interesting.
Sorry.
No, it's interesting.
Okay, good.
I also feel like people who listen to our show, like they're either film obsessed or they work in the industry. So I think it's interesting.
Yeah.
I think it's a good note to writers then. If, should any be listening, to like challenge yourself to write better actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, just instead of we see, don't assume what we see.
Yeah.
Describe what we see.
Cool. I like that.
Yeah.
I like that a lot. Okay. Last two. What is the other's biggest pet peeve on set?
Brian's is any sort of chit chat.
I don't like noise. Yeah. It makes it harder to focus.
Do you have a hard time hearing people eat?
No, I don't care about that.
Okay.
It's just like, it's like if we're rolling, or if there's something happening, or if, you know, you're negotiating a scene, like other people talking is very, you know, not productive. So, but of course my producers advise me to be like, no, you're chilling. It's fine. No, you're so easygoing, which I am, but it's like, there are certain, those kind of like, when the actors are like doing their thing, like you respect that thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's what we're all there to get. So that's one. What would be yours? I think you don't like anybody like raising their voice or any kind of like anger.
Oh yeah, I can't do confrontation. And it was very funny in Italy because like a lot, they they're very gesticular and they're also very loud. Most Italians, or at least the ones that were on our set, were quite loud, and they would just be talking to each other in a very loud way in Italian at each other. And I would constantly be like, I would walk up to somebody and be like, what is wrong? What is wrong? And they're like, oh, they're just moving this lamp.
Yeah. It's all
and
good.
I'm like, oh, they're not upset with each other. And they're like, no. Why would they be upset with each other? They're just moving this lamp.
Yeah.
So I constantly thought I was running into small microaggressions that were happening around me, but it wasn't actually happening.
Valid.
But I would say anybody getting into conflict, because I think there's also something about so many people around that if conflict starts, it affects everybody else. And so
that kind of energy is like the opposite of creativity. Like you need to be very loose and obliging with everybody.
Yeah.
For sure.
Okay, and my last one is, what does the other obsess over in post-production?
I think he obsesses over the music.
Oh, what I was gonna say, there was a needle drop of, don't tell me. His name is like three names, and he's like super
Father John Misty.
Yeah. I know him. I'm like, anyways, that was a cool moment. I liked that. It felt right.
Yeah.
Sweet. It's a sweet line.
I would say mine is also logic.
Yeah, that's true.
In post-production, like there's a lot of phone business in our film, and like just making sure all of that made sense. Because some of those and maybe it's just because I see so many movies, those things take me out of it immediately, and I'm like
the text on the phone and that kind of thing.
Like the text on the phone, or like if a phone was supposed to be hooked into like how you've lost a phone or lost a connection, or like even like the numbers on a phone. If it ever says 555, I'm like,
yeah, so lame.
You're like. Couldn't we figure out a different way of doing that to make it not take me out of a movie that says 555? It probably doesn't affect too many people, but like,
no, I get it. I get it.
I'm that way. In post, what would you be most on?
Two things. I think scene cutting is just like where I love to be. It's my favorite thing to do. Or color. Like I'm so obsessed with color correction, and we build in so much time, and that's probably my favorite part of the process. I love it.
Sweet.
Yeah.
I love it. Yeah. Well, I think you guys knew a good amount of each other's.
Yeah.
I think you did pretty well.
I don't think I knew one, did I?
You did fine.
Okay.
I felt like it was good.
It was cool.
Well, give me a point.
Yeah, this is everyone gets a trophy.
Yeah. We all win.
Yeah.
Well, sweet. That's kind of all I had for you guys today. Just to close this out, if we can one more time plug the movie where they can see it, and then if you have anything else to plug.
Paddington in Peru is currently streaming. According to Brian, it's a very unforgettable film.
Unforgettable movie. No, it's sweet.
I Don't Understand You is out in nationwide theaters on June 6th, 2025. And then will be at some later date on a streaming service.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Easy.
Go check it out.
Love it.
That's really
See
fun.
it with people. Honestly, I know it's
definitely a friend watch.
It's a corny thing to say or a typical thing to say, but I feel like we actually made a movie that's allowed to be in theaters.
Yeah. I agree. I also think I love seeing movies alone, and I would say this is like watch with a friend movie.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Take a friend, buy 2 tickets, or use your AMC stubs.
Yeah. Cool. Okay. It's time to get lost.
Good evening.
If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to leave us 5 stars on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you get your podcasts. To stay in touch, follow our Instagram page at It's Intermission Time and share with your friends. As always, Intermission is produced by Jazeel Chu and Olivia Dean, and of course, hosted by yours truly, Megan Braun. This episode is brought to you by The Synagogue.